What up, TikTok? Hey, hope everybody's having a great Friday. Hey, don't let anything that's negative in your life dictate the rest of your life. Does that make sense? Hey, we all go through some hard times. We all go through some emotional stressors, maybe at work, maybe at home, whatever it may be. Don't let that dictate who you are and how you react to the rest of the things that life throws at you. Does that make sense? Like if you're feeling pissed off and angry all morning or all day, you're going to take that energy and you're going to present it to everybody else that surrounds you, your loved ones, your soldiers, whoever it may be. You're going to use that negative energy and it's just going to make everything worse. Try to be positive. Pick something positive in life that's going really well. Use that positive energy and let that dictate the rest of your day. We can harp on the negatives. We can harp on the bad things that are going on in life. It's not going to help us. It's not going to help us move forward. Stay strong, keep pushing, drive on. Happy Friday.
What's up, Trash Talkers? Hitting you up this morning with a special promo on how to dress when you are doing PT in civilians, but you want everybody to know you're an Army. This comes from the Buddy Beckwith fashion design of how to work out. So first, you can notice the RI panties. Not Ranger panties, but Ranger instructor panties. The green socks, the knee brace for the old guys. Don't forget the M frames. Now the shirt, don't wear the Trash Talk shirt while you're running. This is just for the promo. You want to put on like an 80-second shirt or like your favorite airborne shirt so everybody knows that you're a veteran. That's the most important thing. And you start with this stretch. Buddy Beckwith taught me this one. Ready to go.
So, I'm walking out of the gas station and my co-worker, who's an old MP, but we still claim him, and has engaged the man in conversation. Not much for conversation with strangers, but he's got the tab. So, as I walk by, I say airborne, and the man responds with, and I quote, "Hoorah." So, after I instructed my co-worker to slash every single tire before he put the car in gear, I looked for the biggest rock. As I crow-hopped to throw it through his back window so he can stop posing as one of us, I actually wake up and realize that the man's ignorance had incapacitated me for a moment, and I was daydreaming. I mean, because in that moment you got two options. I chose the third option and said, "Incorrect. That's an incorrect response." And I kept walking. The man said nothing and he pulled away. So you tell me, what is it, a stolen valor thing? No Marine's gonna have an airborne tab, and no paratrooper's gonna say hidden hoorah. So you tell me, stolen valor?
Hey, y'all, I'm going to work. I left you a note on the refrigerator. I love y'all. I'm gonna go.
Hey, go get dressed. Get ready for school.
You're doing great. We're just tooling around, tooling along. Shit! Bad guy! Stop!
Let me break it down Barney style.
This is the Veteran Trash Talk Hour, hosted by Nick, Dave, Joe, and Buddy. Real warriors making fun of other real warriors. Try to not get triggered.
What is up, everybody? Happy Saturday. Welcome to episode 94 of the Trash Talk Hour. Shout out to our sponsors, 10th Mountain Whiskey. Type in VTT and get a discount. Special guest today is Chaplain Kenneth Liu of Armed Forces Mission and the Intervene Challenge. And as usually,
Kenneth Koon.
yeah,
Idiot.
I left that one out because I didn't want to get people triggered.
His nickname is Luke. Yeah,
Hey,
I almost didn't say his
I don't
last
want to get
name
people
because
triggered,
I
buddy.
fire. And I could get in trouble. I could get in trouble for saying.
Why don't he just has to get all of his words in as fast as possible?
Because we can't hear him, right, Nick?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what it is.
Because you
Nice
never
try,
know
buddy.
He's got this
And as
beautiful house.
usual, I'm joined by Buddy, as you can see, and Nick
And here.
and Joe. So we always kick the dumpster fire off with a conspiracy. And today I decided to bring in the expert. So here is a tinfoil.
Well, don't give him my real name.
Okay.
All right. All right. And first off, Nick, this was a redacted, right? This is a secure line, right? I want to make sure.
Yes. Yeah, we have a VPN.
Zoom call. Everybody knows Zoom and WhatsApp are all secure.
Obviously, I want to make sure I don't get Epstein. What I'm about to tell you guys is mind blowing. Okay. So world's going crazy right now, right? All kinds of shit popping off everywhere. All right. I blamed it on the 5G first. You know, I obviously looked at the mRNA technology that they're using, implanting chips in us, you know, whatever the case may be. I think it's because of the firmament. All right. We got what was Chaplin's name again? I'm sorry.
Kenneth.
Chaplin Ken.
Lou.
It's Lou.
Koon.
Lou's good.
It's Lou Brown.
guys.
All right, Lou, got a question for you,
I
okay?
got some white walls on there. Line.
All right, so the firmament. All right, let's talk about the firmament. What does the Bible say about the firmament, Chaplin?
It was all around us. It was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's not.
All around. Right. Sky full of blue, right? Sky full of blue.
That's it.
Yep. All
I
right,
love the infantry.
So we noticed Elon Musk has been doing a lot of launches here over the course of the past 2 years. We all know he's an alien, right? We all know he's probably reptilian, something like that. He's trying to get home, but he can't break through the firmament. What? All right, that's ultimately what it is. We got people going crazy out there. Like I said, I thought it was the COVID vaccine. I don't think it is. It's the firmament. All right, and we all know that that's just pretty much water, you know, just above the atmosphere. And right now it's gases, okay. But as soon as that ruptures, the world's going to flood again, okay. And just like Noah, right, Chaplin? I mean, this is straight from the
You're driving this car on your own.
All right. Well,
I think it's going to be fire next time. No more
Fire.
water.
He said fire next time.
Fire next
I
time.
do a lot of research on TikTok. All right, so I know what's going on. All right. I know that, you know, I know that gas is $17 a gallon right now. That's not an accident. They want to lock us down. They want to make sure that they can get that EV, and then they can pop on that 5G switch. And as soon as they do,
boom.
we're toast.
So the 5G switch is gonna flood the earth.
No. The 5G switch is basically a kill switch for those that got.
We have to know what we're gonna discuss here. I
the
still don't know what
the
we're
ones that got that
Well,
shot. You know,
I'm trying to figure out what conspiracy we're talking about, right?
Yeah, because
We're gonna hit on one, and I think it's
you brought up like seven.
We've literally gone through 6 of them.
Yeah, I counted 7. But that could be a conspiracy too.
Guys, it's gonna be flat Earth. I think that's what his main focus is.
It's a conspiracy until it's true, right? That's ultimately what
No, all conspiracy needs truth. Otherwise, you're an idiot.
Right. You know, when I spent some time with
At this point,
Delta,
what is a conspiracy?
listen, guys, when I jumped with Halo, you know, we always flew. We dropped at about 35,000 feet, right? We couldn't go above that because of the firmament.
Because of the firmament, yeah.
You notice all of Elon's recent launches are blowing up in the sky, and then also it almost looks like it's cascading against water. Well, that's because the firmament is water, guys. All right, so just don't get it twisted.
So it's a flat Earth.
Flat Earth, yes.
Antarctica, real quick before we let everybody. Antarctica,
Hold
what?
on, I need to-
Monica, it's firm mint, right?
Wait,
firm.
are we doing
Might be
more
slurring a
mint?
little bit.
Okay.
Are we going
Monica,
Antarctica,
I don't know
what does that have to do with?
Yeah, we already know with the flat Earth, you know, pretty much, you know, it is completely flat. You look at a few of the
If you look at a map, it's obviously flat.
obviously, right? Well, the
Yeah.
globe didn't come out until 1928. You know what I'm saying? NASA wasn't enacted until 1958. We know the Nazis. But either way, you know, the thing of it is that it's flat. All right.
The
Look
Nazis?
at Louisiana. Look at Lake.
You can't just stop at Nazi.
I can't. You're right.
Buddy, give him a sec. He's almost done.
I'm throwing a lot at you
The
right now.
Nazis are all in South America right now. Tim Kennedy found them.
They are. Argentina, there's a nice little small town.
A lot of
That's-
blonde-haired, blue-eyed Argentinians over there.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh,
So
Tim
look at
Kennedy
Lake.
has got him. Don't worry about it. Ranger Special Forces sniper.
Yep,
Halo.
amen. I mean, I've done all of it. I got the badge, I got
Halo.
the t-shirt, I got the run style, you know, so we're good. You know, I wear it proud. But you know, look at if anybody's driven through Louisiana, Lake Pontchartrain, right? You got a bridge that's probably 15 miles, right? Well, if Earth was rounded or curved, you know, that bridge would be slowly but surely, you know, going down in elevation, and it's not. You look as far out as you can, as far as you can in the horizon, and it does not curve. You go on top of the mountains, you can see as far as the eye can see. All right, talk to your pilots. I know a lot of pilots. Obviously, my time when I was jumping out of planes, I talked to a lot of the Air Force guys. We were jumping out of C-130s, you know, what do they call them, the Respas, or, you know, I don't even know. I jumped out of
Sherpas.
A Sherpa, yeah, I remember when I deployed in Iraq as a commo guy. You know what I mean? So, you know, they know that they're not changed in elevation throughout their flight path. They are they're flying at 35,000 feet.
So they're all part of the
They're not
conspiracy.
changing. You know, if the Earth was curved, wouldn't we be going? You know what I mean? Like, how the hell? I just don't get it. You know, maybe I need to do a little bit more research on TikTok.
Maybe
because I was
inverted. You should probably go to Instagram for this one, or at least like Newsmax.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
YouTube might be a better source.
YouTube would be a good one.
Still? Yeah.
My finger's at the same elevation.
So
all
what
the way
are we
around.
discussing?
But anyway, I guess long
It's a
story
shotgun
short,
blast.
it was a shotgun blast. I think he discussed a lot of various
topics.
conspiracies. Yeah. Well, why don't we stick with the flat?
That was like a 20 gauge.
Why
Can
don't
we
we
talk
why
about
don't we-
flat Earth already?
Why don't we stick with the flat Earth? So personally, I'm going to start and then I'm going to hand it over to the guest. I 100% do not believe.
I like
in
the
flat Earth.
firmament.
I do too.
I don't believe in that
Can we
theory.
talk about
We already talked flat Earth. Let's do firmament. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, okay, we can do that. I don't
Let's do
believe in
firmament.
any of that. I think space is a real thing. I think we've been to space. Flat earthers do tie their stuff to Antarctica. I do think there's a lot of crazy stuff that goes on there that we're
Like
not aware of.
penguins. Penguins are
Yeah.
fucked up.
Stop
We've
talking
talked about
flat
that
Earth.
when it comes to flying
Don't
over
talk about
Antarctica.
that, Dave. Talk about
Just-
the firmament.
It's not real. I think you can definitely fly into space, and like Chris will tell you, like the moon is like a hologram.
You just need a water deflector.
Hologram.
Well,
You
Project Bluebeam,
just need some windshield wipers. You go right through the firmament.
pretty much. But Project
Yeah.
Bluebeam, like you said, you know, the moon is not real. It's just a
hologram.
It's a
It's,
hologram.
it's made of spare ribs.
You know, we got.
Technically,
It's a simple
technically,
question,
the
Dr.
firmament
Would you
is a
eat
real
the
thing.
moon if it were
All right.
made of ribs?
All
I
right,
would.
so thank you,
Delicious.
Chris.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you, Chris. I think that
Thank
was
you guys.
Tall.
And first
Thank you,
off,
Let's
Budweiser.
make my
don't use my first name.
hat.
All
okay.
right.
Don't use your first
We
name.
are. Don't worry. So we're on a secure line.
All right.
Yeah.
Sir, what do you got on the? What are we doing? We're not doing flat Earth. We're doing the we're
doing the firmament.
engulfed by like a dome or
We already
something. Do you
talked
believe in
about-
that, sir?
I already forgot where I was.
You are engulfed in a dome.
Sir, do you
Wow.
believe in that? That we're like that our planet is engulfed in like a dome surrounded by water.
Yeah, I think the moon, according to my first grandson, who 3, just turned 3, is actually made out of chicken nuggets.
Hey, McDonald's
I
or
like
Wendy's?
him. Yeah, that's
Okay.
important. Spicier regular.
Wendy's
Yeah.
is selling chicken nuggets like 35 for $1. That's
Does he
definitely
want
not
sauce?
chicken. So
That's your take on it, sir? Or do you have any more?
Is that
input on
real chicken?
not if it's 35 for $1.
Yeah,
Those
that's-
are raccoon feet. Yeah.
It's going to be 1 for $35 here pretty soon.
Yes,
So
buddy.
We are
What's
all-
your take on all of this?
The firmament is real,
Oh,
and
well,
here's why. Here's
elaborate.
why the firmament
Better
is
fucking
real.
listen.
So, like, water comes in how many forms? Ice,
7.
so a solid, a liquid, and a gas, right? So technically, we are surrounded by water above, below, around, because we live on a planet that has an atmosphere that contains water throughout the atmosphere.
Hashtag
So-
science.
Technically, it's true. And if you think about people in like ancient times, how they would describe something, they describe it so that other people in that same time can understand it. So it would probably be difficult for them to say that there's water everywhere. So they just say there's water above us. Like if there is
Right.
water above us, like there's water right beside me right now. It's just in gas form. But if you're the people that believe in the firmament, like there's a giant, like gravity doesn't exist and we're living in an aquarium with water above us, also believe that contrails are like seeding the earth with some kind of chemical because they forgot how science works and they don't understand how condensation is a thing. So
Right.
yeah, the firmament's real. There's water above us and around
And then the
us
flat
and
Earth is
below
definitely
us.
not a thing, obviously.
And the flat Earth is not a thing. And here's the thing: if I'm flying an airplane and I'm at this point, we're talking about the radius.
Don't you have your license
core of
too,
the
buddy?
Earth to the outside. I don't have my license yet. Not yet.
But he went to a flight school in Florida with somebody named Abdul.
Yeah, but you stay at the same elevation above the water that is at the same distance from the center of the Earth. It's ridiculous. Anyway, and yeah, you can see as far as the eye can see, but why does your eye stop seeing? Because the horizon is where the Earth naturally drops off and you can't see any more of it. Is that the edge of the flat Earth? No, we know that because Chris Columbus took a little trip and was like, well,
I thought that was Colonel Jackson.
I just found America. No, he that was down the Mississippi.
Yeah, he took a little trip down the
powder
Mississippi.
in a alligator's mouth. Yep. When
Alligator lost his
when
mind.
he touched it off, the gator lost his mind. Not a huge deal. Yeah.
Fair enough. Thanks for
What do you think, Joe?
And the British kept the cup.
Thanks for the education, buddy. And I wanted to throw one more thing in there. Like the United Nations, the conspiracy theorists believe that the United Nations symbol is actually the flat Earth symbol that they used to use from back in the day.
That kid outside fishing.
Where is he? Somebody.
But anyway,
somebody get the kid.
Joe, what's your take on all of this?
No, I completely agree with Buddy. Where the horizon is where the Earth's curve starts to drop. I totally have. I've been way too far removed from drugs to buy into the firmament. I'm sorry.
Joe's answer is always drugs.
I don't have.
Lots of the world's solutions and problems are drugs.
Yeah, I don't have a good enough sober imagination to believe that that's real without seeing it. So call me the potty pooper, because I don't believe in firmament, but I do think that the Earth is round, and the horizon where you can't see anymore is the curve that everyone talks about.
Right.
So there's that.
I concur.
How far out is the horizon?
Monica says this is why they call him Short Bus Buddy.
What's that, sir? What did you say?
I was just wondering how far. I've heard the horizon is 3 to 7 miles out. Is that it?
I don't know. That's a good question.
So
somebody educated should probably look that up.
It's 8 miles out where I'm at. No big deal.
8 mile.
I mean, obviously at ground at sea level, it's going to be X. But if you're on a mountain, you're going to see further. But what's the longest shot Chris Kyle ever took? I don't know.
I mean, he's a Navy SEAL, so it's not true.
Yep.
That's
no. Mark Wahlberg shot a can of Dinty Moore beef stew. Real talk.
I shot 2 guys with a 240 once, and
4.7 kilometers. So kilometers to miles is what, 1.2 miles. 1.6. Yeah.
1.6.
Yeah.
I didn't even aim.
I mean,
when I
I
killed
guess
people.
if you had a spotter and you used the Coriolis effect, you could
Are
always.
you sure it's not it's not Brunelli's principle? I don't know. No, that's floating. Yeah.
Anyway, I think this thing just got out of control, and
I think that's floating.
Atmosphere pressure.
Yeah, how do you float, buddy? You're a diver, buddy. How do you float?
Yeah, the principle that you're talking about is the principle that gas expands and contracts when it goes up and down in atmosphere. Not a huge deal, and it is something that we do in dive school.
I know you do it in dive school. That's why I asked you.
I saw Men of Honor with De Niro.
That's why you. That's why you can't get AGEs if you are taking compressed gas.
Brent says if you look at the weather app, it'll tell you what the visibility is for the day. So
yeah,
so that's visibility due to atmospheric conditions.
And thanks for tuning in, Brent. He works with us. We bought a bunch of VTT merch. We love you,
you sharpshooting us, Brent. You sharp.
Right, yeah.
Anyhow, Nick, I think it's you. It's you.
Well,
and then
I'm with Joe here. I'm
it's on to Nick.
I'm a little triggered. Well, I didn't get my conspiracy take yet, so it's not the book of Bro yet. But I do want to talk a little bit about this conspiracy of the firmament and just how real everything in the Bible is, and then how it gets twisted. Okay, and here's where it gets twisted. Who committed the first sin?
The apple.
Who? Adam or Eve?
Was it Adam or Eve?
Depends on how you look at it.
There's only one way to look at it, but we as males like to say Eve, right? Because she ate the apple first, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what is the good book that says the firmament exists? What does it say happened to Eve? Why did she eat the apple? She was tricked. Okay, she didn't commit sin. Adam did. So there you go, Monica and Len and Letha and all you women warriors out there. For what is this? We got Gay Pride Month. We got Juneteenth. We got Women's Veteran Day. We got Father's Day in the middle of all that. So take that, Gay Pride Month. Thank God there's Father's Day out there. Anyways, but yeah, so there you go, women. I believe in the firmament. Like Buddy says, there's actual science behind a lot of the things that it said. So like he said, that just explaining to people back in that day was that there's water in the air. All right. And that's just what they're trying to tell you. Okay. And again, there is water in the air. I guess maybe is it the where's Kerber?
Right.
Is Kerber around too? Like, is there a weather machine that makes it rain, or is it
No, so like
water?
yes, there's a weather machine, and then like we're trapped by it though. Like you can't travel out into space. We're literally trapped by it. It's like a dome. It's a dome.
First of all, there is a weather machine. It is controlled at the headquarters of the 82nd Airborne Division. Everybody knows that. That's science.
I thought you were actually going to talk about the real weather machine, because we have like done like tests and all that. There are machines out there that we tested back in World War II, and that's not a conspiracy, where we can control like
weather balloons
and stuff. No. Like just look it up. That's like, as you would always say,
well,
Nick,
right. Like as you say, just look it up.
Being able to make one cloud, being able to make one
like storms
area.
and things of that nature.
Well, they were trying to figure out a way.
Declassified.
They were trying to figure out a way if they could. Coast Guard was working on it, if they could destroy hurricanes by dropping.
Correct.
I forget what the chemical compound is, and it had some success for a cloud, but like
silver nitrate.
But then the real scientists that aren't paid for by the government came in and said, if you destroy hurricanes, you will destroy the ecosystems of thousands of islands, right? Because they depend on those hurricanes, and so it's like that. And they stopped that idea going on. But anyways, let's grab the Book of Earl here real quick. And again, Dave mentioned it that we haven't heard a Book of Earl in a while, and so we were talking about some scripture, and mine is better than scripture. Don't strike me down, Lord, but you put these thoughts in my head that are absolutely 100%
wow,
true.
with a Chaplin on here. You're gonna go that way.
Hey, buddy, maybe now you see it. Maybe now you see exactly where the funny part of that was. So, okay, I think you get it.
Lou, I just want you to know that I don't stand with Nick on this.
Hey, just go ahead and do the cross, and you can walk outside. All right, just say 12 Hail Marys, and you're good. Okay.
And
I'm good. So you can murder somebody and just say Hail Mary, and you're done. Like it's it. Good. Anyways,
I think you have to say a lot of Hail Marys.
Right. What I wanted to chat about real quick, because my speeches are always real quick. Let's talk about community again. What exactly does community mean? And I get a little triggered when you force somebody to be a part of a community. And how do we do that? We do that by like taxation, right? We do that by, you guys are going to pay for this whether you want to or not, right? And that's what the federal government does. So I want to talk a little bit about why I dislike the fact that people believe that the federal government has money. Okay, the federal government doesn't have any fucking money. All right, and I get real triggered when just like I had fun last week with Dave about the tanks and planes. Guess who owns those tanks and planes? Awesome. We do. Okay, so we already own tanks and planes, like the civilians do, like you do. You technically own lots of tanks and planes. All right, so they belong to us. Now let's go micro style. This is what the Book of Earl wants to talk about when you want to become a trigger pansy. You think you have the one answer to veteran suicide, you have the one answer to any type of suicide, or the one answer to sexual assault, blah, blah, blah. There isn't one answer. All right, there's thousands of answers, thousands. And the bigger you can actually have a willing community, which Veteran Trash Talk has become, right, to actually address issues. Just keep that in mind when you message our page as well. Like when you message the Big Earl and say, hey, all I'm going to tell you to do is call a doctor, right? I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. right? And then if you really want the big girl's opinion, I'm going to tell you to stop being a bitch. That's just the way I talk, right? I'm going to be like, when you get up in the morning, like, just like, hey, put your pants on and go to work, right? Like, and then if you don't like your job, quit it, right? But then don't bitch when you're poor because you quit your job, okay? Like that's the trade-off. Okay, do you want to work or not? All right, and then yes, bad shit happens, and that's when the community has to step in. That's when the community has to take action. So I think it's like
on record. Yep.
Yeah. And that's what is beautiful about our community is when somebody reaches out, somebody has an answer. That's the point. So just try your best to refrain from saying, this is why this happens. Okay. That is why that happened to you. Okay. That might not be why that same thing happened to somebody else. It could be 1,000 different reasons why it happened. So again, just take a breath, think about what's going on in the society, and then think about your neighborhood. Okay. Before you start caring about what, the Supreme Court's doing. All right. Maybe you should care about what your district court is doing. Maybe you should care about what your local government is doing, because you actually have influence there. You know where you don't have influence? The federal government. You got none. All right. You let them get as big as they possibly can get, and now you just got to sit there and suck on it. All right. I think that's chapter 5. So just sit there and suck on it.
Actually, six.
Yeah, chapter 6. Yeah, I don't remember when I wrote it.
Yeah, I read it last night.
It's sit there and suck on it. All right. And I'm going to go back to the COVID days. Right. And when you walked into a store and just say you didn't want to wear masks because you believed in individual freedom and all that kind of stuff. Right. Like you walked into a store and they said, sir, put a mask on. Did you put a mask on and walk into that store? Right. If you did, then who cares about your bitching? Because you just gave them power. All right. You walk in and make them call the cops. Call the cops. Right. And by the time the cops get there, you probably already got what you wanted, and then you just leave. So it's like it works out both ways. But again, take a little bit of personal ownership in the community that you are involved in. And if you are in Veteran Trash Talk, be a part of the community in a positive manner. All right. Don't say anything unless you actually have something to help with. Right. Like, be that answer. If you don't, just read and learn. I've learned so many things off this community because I listen to what other people's problems are. And then I watch somebody else jump on and give them a solution, and I'm like, I didn't think about that. That's
bunch of tools that you can put in your kit bag, like I always say. 100%,
exactly,
dude.
Exactly.
Yep.
So like I said, embrace the community. You know who's not in your community? The fucking government. All right. The federal government is not in your community. So before you bash outside of your community, look in. We always say that the demon's inside, get it out. Look inside your own community, fix your foxhole, fix your buddy's foxhole, right? And then it starts to spread.
And Nick, if they want to talk to a politician about their community, who do they go to? Because people always get this wrong.
Well, you go to your local representative.
There you go. Like they jump 4 steps up the pay grade ladder and nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah, they want to run right to the federals, the senator. It's like, what? Really? You're lucky if
There's
if
a process
even
there,
reads
bro.
your email. It's like, go to your district alderman first. That's who you go to first, and then you go to the mayor, and then you can then there's district Supreme Courts, all that stuff. But anyways, yeah. Let's stick in the veteran community. This will be the end of it, but I don't think some of you have noticed this, but we've seen a lot of lives change in the last 2 years, and I'm really excited about it. To include all of ours.
100%.
Right. Joe just got a job, all right, with FleetTex, who sponsors our UFC show. Right. FleetTex is hiring veterans. That's all he wants to do is hire veterans. So go to fleettex.com if you have a engineering or automated background, right? Automotive background, and you have a chance to make about 120 to 150,000 a year.
If you can work out of a DeWalt kit bag and learn how to splice little tiny wires, you literally can make 3 figures an hour without breaking a sweat. And I'm telling you that from experience. I went from doing something where I wanted to make more money, and just like Nick's talking about, if you're going to work every single day hating your job, stop bitching about your job. You're the one going to work every single day. Start putting some feelers out there to make something else happen. You're a veteran. There's avenues.
Make that change, you mean? Make that change?
Exactly.
Make that change.
What's your boy sitting in the room with you doing? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like I was a leap of faith, and it worked out.
I forget to post that today on the group, but on the group on VTT official, somebody posted, perspective is different, where it says you're going in a circle, but then if you look at the depth of it, you're actually just going in a spiral down. Okay, so if you're still going on that same circle and nothing's getting better, it's because you're going down, right? And it's like you can easily stop and just turn around. All right,
you got to get out of that. You got to get out of that mental state that I wake up, I'm depressed. I can't do this. Like, I'm not good enough. Like, it's just, I hate saying victim blaming, but you are victim blaming yourself. Like, you got to get out of that mindset and just say, fuck it. I'm going to fucking make that change. I'm going to be positive when I wake up this morning. Fuck, think about puppies. I don't give a shit. Whatever makes you happy. And then things will change. But
how about think about the challenges that you've overcome in your life and realizing that you're not dead. You've done it before, bro.
Correct. And then I'm a big,
and not to mention, do that veteran tag proud. Like,
and then real quick, I'm big into manifestation as well. Like, I feel like what you put out, you're going to get back. So like, if you're depressed all the time and pissed off all the time, you're going to bring that type of energy to
right. And we'll bring religion back into it, because we'll bring, not religion, but we'll bring spirituality back into it. We'll bring the Bible that says you can give your way to a happier life. Okay. It literally says that you can give your way to a happier life. Right.
That's so why we surround each other with our,
give 110%, and chances are you're gonna come out all right. That's just kind of what it is. Buddy had his hand raised. What's up? Appreciate that. Appreciate your patience.
It's very nice of him.
Thanks for not interrupting me like Joe usually does.
Actually, he probably would have if he had internet.
Yeah, I have internet.
Well, do you?
Straight up on
just
the
bad internet. Are you gonna say something, or are you just gonna freeze?
It's Costa Rican internet. I don't know.
He's gonna stand there. Are you gonna stand there and bleed? What? All we see is your face. Yeah.
Okay. What? Anyway, so
anywho,
like everything,
you're gonna skin that smoke wagon.
It makes a. So you gonna shut up so I can talk?
Well, I mean, you keep breaking up. So I gotta fill the airtime. What's up?
I haven't said anything. How am I breaking up? Okay. Anyway, so I went through the same, like a lot of the same shit, like getting ready to retire, all that stuff. And you know what I found? Have some fucking patience. Just calm the fuck down. Take a deep breath. You know what else? Everybody talks about giving other people grace and being like patient with other people. Sometimes you got to give yourself a little bit of the same grace that you expect everyone else expects for you to give them. You got to give it to yourself. Things are going to work out. They are. They've worked out in the past. They're going to work out in the future, as long as you're patient. And then it's okay, like getting out of the military. It's okay to not know what you want to do. It's fine. Have a plan to work forward and figure it out. Well, Sergeant Major's a fucking idiot. He never got out of the military. Anyway, it's good to have a plan to move forward, but be able to shift left and right and follow some things that you think you might want to do until you figure it out, and then do what you want to do. If you're chasing a dollar, you're never going to be happy.
I just want to say, you gotta love yourself first. You gotta learn how to love yourself first before you apply any of that. And people are like, that's selfish. People are like, self-love is selfish and all that. No, like, in order to love something else, you gotta love yourself first, because that is
a moral superiority is selfish. Like thinking
Dave, you remember
you
Prison
love
Break?
yourself so much. So I'm sure Buddy had a really good point. Yeah, I'm sure that it was like
made my really good point.
That was a good point, Buddy.
It came in kind of choppy.
Thank you.
Right, so no, but we do like it.
What do you want me to tell you? Hey, Costa Rica, get better internet. I don't know. Yeah,
exactly. Well, I mean, that was literally the Book of Earl. What have you done about it in Costa Rica? Nothing. All right, so stop whining. Go to the Costa Rican government.
What have I done about the internet?
Go there and fix it.
Chaplin is on here like, what did I get myself into?
I worded letter to the federales in Costa Rica to get their internet up and running.
Welcome to the dumpster fire. But hey, I'm going to close out the Book of Earl with that about giving and the community coming together. And those of you that know, Buddy and I have been traveling. Joe's come along on a few trips, supporting the Warrior Ride with the Ultimate Sacrifice Foundation, and what Kyle's been doing. He's in Lake Havasu right now, and somebody that we met in Denver actually gave them their lake house on Lake Havasu to stay in. right? That's how a community comes together, right? The community says, hey, I got a spot for you to stay in, in Arizona, and there you go, right? Now, the Ultimate Sacrifice Foundation is trying to get Kyle's family out to San Diego. And with the jet fuel prices and all that kind of stuff, it's going to cost about 5 G's. Now, I'm pretty sure that the majority of the money that's been donated to that fundraiser has been from the VTT family. So we really appreciate that. It's through the Ultimate Sacrifice Foundation, but we're at $3,700 roughly. Okay. We need to get that to $5,000. Okay. So if you go on our page, it's pinned to the top. All right. If everybody on the group just gives $2, so that hits 5,000, right? We're good. Okay. Get his family.
Can we talk about the fact that if
here buddy goes again.
3 daughters out there, 3 daughters out there on Father's Day? Like, come on.
Yeah. So I think what Buddy said was get him out there for Father's Day.
Yeah, I think that's what he said.
You know, if you're listening, just to caveat off what Nick said about Kyle, man, I haven't met anybody in a long time that I want to just put my arms around and help as much as this dude, because he's such a salt of the earth, good human being who's had every excuse in the world to be one of those victims. And that dude's always got a smile on his face, always got an upbeat attitude, and flat out won't quit. And he told me something, and we had a straight face, and he said, Joe, I just feel like I'm good at taking the hits. And it's the only thing I've ever been able to be good at is not staying down when some people might. And I can get up and I can take the abuse and I can keep on going. And that's the one thing I've found that I'm better at than most people I've met.
Dude,
and,
there were some.
Go ahead, brother.
Joe, there were some mornings I was waking up, I'm like, man, I'm not feeling today. And then I would see the videos that he was posting. So for everybody that's watching, I want to
getting hailed on in a at a baseball field.
He's riding a bicycle, not a motorcycle, like a bicycle. And he started off in Boston, and has rode across the entire freaking country. He's in Arizona. He's going to end in California.
I think he's at 3,000 miles.
When he
he should be at $3,000 now.
When he posted a video, and I'm like, holy crap! Like, I want to complain about my situation right now, or that my life sucks, or I don't want to roll out of bed in the morning. And here is Kyle. He's getting hailed on. Almost got kidnapped. Like,
laughing.
Jesus, like
in his videos, smiling and laughing. Yeah, never.
And then let's not forget about, the guy he's writing for and the Maddox family. I don't want to get too much into this right now because we got an amazing guest who's going to talk about all the good stuff, but like, just inspirational. Like, check it out. Go to Ultimate Sacrifice Foundation. Check out everything. Check out their website. Check out what Kyle's doing. Check out the Maddox family. Like, they lead with integrity and just the stuff that they're doing right now in the community and everything. It's just, it blows my mind, and I'm glad to be a part of it. So anyhow, that was just my little soapbox there. Good job.
Right. Hey, buddy's texting me right now. He's panicking. He's cleaning his teeth right now. You saw that. No, it's just a little
ribs. I had ribs. I had ribs.
Take the dentures out, buddy.
Hey, do us all a big solid, guys. If you're watching, all right, share it. If you can't donate $2, all right, that's fine. All right, nobody's like saying you're a bad person for not, but then at least share it. All right, share it to your family, all that kind of stuff, so that maybe we can get Kyle's family out there. And again, you know what? If you get to $5,000 off of our page alone, that's so awesome. That's what we're trying to do. And Buddy's still texting me, but I don't know what you want me to do on the show while texting. It's okay. Everybody's okay. It's not a big deal. So, anyways, I get to introduce Lou, i.e. Ken. We don't really know what he's called. I think he was a Delta Force. Delta Force Chaplin with Kerber jumping halos out of Sherpas. So not quite sure with this, but anyways, so you're the founder of AFM, correct?
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so that's the Armed Forces
Mission.
Armed Forces Mission, correct. All right. So the Armed Forces Mission.
Intervention Challenge.
AFM.org, AFMfamily.org, AFMfamily.org. So go check that out right now. And everybody's texting me right now. Stop it. Okay. So, go there and check it out. So that way, when he's talking, you can see what we're doing. And this is another thing that we do for our community. All right. We promote veteran-owned businesses for free. All right. We don't care if you're for-profit, nonprofit, doesn't matter. Get on here, we'll promote you. Now, go to that website, and you're going to hear the founder talk. If you like what he has to say, all right, throw a little bit of ducats his way, all right, or find a way that you can help support him, which I have a way too. We'll talk offline. And then also with that, like if you don't like it, then don't give him any money. All right,
Keep scrolling. Keep scrolling.
Yeah, just keep scrolling. Go to the next one. Okay. But anyways,
But I like
I got to meet Ken from our last guest last week. I don't know if you guys watched that one. That guy was a wild card. All right, he came out there. He came out, yeah, old Chico came up with some wild stuff. But anyways, I kind of understood. Yeah, because I kind of understood about half of what he was saying. But like,
Shout out to.
Yeah, Chico's out there. He's out there putting skin in the game as well. You know, like I said, so we're putting skin in the game. People that have joined our community, they're helping out. If you're not putting skin in the game, just shut the hell up. Okay. So we got Lou here. We got Ken Lou Koon. All right. He is putting skin in the game and he's doing something about it. And he is teaching people how to intervene in suicide prevention. And seeing this is PTSD Awareness Month, Pride Month, Women's Month, Father's Day Month, but it's all kinds of months. All right. But anyways, he's got one of the solutions to the 1,000 that he's working on. And I'm sure that encompasses a lot more and he'll talk about it. So welcome to the Trash Talk Hour. And please.
Cheers, sir. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
please
man.
tell us why the chaplain's corps is the biggest waste of money. That's what in the history of the Army.
Well, hey, first of all, I loved the first 40 minutes this afternoon. You guys have an unconventional way of bringing in the spirituality, and I like that because it's very tough. A lot of people say, oh, you're a chaplain, you're going to bring us the faith stuff. And I kind of do it the way you guys do. Either you're going to accept it or you're not, and that's up to you, you know. But back to, I love what Face Man was saying. You know,
nobody likes what he says.
Yeah,
They all love me. You're good.
There is a verse of scripture that says, as a man thinketh, so is he. So if you think stupid thoughts, you're going to do stupid things. I was riding the other night with a police officer, you know, and
what?
But I have people all the time saying, how do you do what you do? And I was riding with a police officer the other night and we got a call on a stupid situation. And I said, I would much rather do what I do than to do what you have to do, because he was writing up a report on a stupid incident. And you know, people spend their energy doing stupid things. And so that's part of the problem. But I appreciate you guys letting me come on with you this afternoon. It is great to be with you. I actually formed Armed Forces Mission about 10 years ago, so we're celebrating 10 years of service. Woo! And made it past the 3-year hump. That was a tough 3 years, and got past that, and now we've been at it for 10 years. I've done over 1,700 suicide interventions in both the military and civilian settings, and we've now trained over 23,000 people. I just got back from Dallas, Texas Wednesday. We trained 124 Dallas PD folks. They got 3,000 members in their department, so we'll hopefully be getting to go back there. Do a lot here in Georgia and South Carolina, been out in the Ozarks. Probably out of the 23,000 people that we've trained, about a third of those are law enforcement, so about 500 different agencies all over the place. And one of the main reasons is because they get calls, you know, and I tell people all the time, you know, the first responders, the guys in the uniform are not really the first responders. The first responders is the mother who calls about the teenager that's suicidal, or the neighbor who calls about the veteran that's suicidal. They're the real first responders. And the guys in uniform show up, they're the second responders. And then if they have to go to the hospital, the white suit is the third responder, you know? And
I like that.
Yeah.
I never looked at it that way.
And then what happens is they get referred out to a psychologist or a clinician. That's the fourth responder. So who's really on the front line? It's the ordinary people, you know, that don't wear the uniform. It's the
like Joe.
It's the little league baseball coach. It's the.
I've done that.
Go ahead.
No. I was just saying I've been he said I'm that guy, and I said I've been.
He's the ordinary one in the group. But go ahead.
Yeah. So you know, it's what the 23,000 people. The other 2/3 that we've trained, they're just ordinary people. But I will tell you this: we did train in my hometown a couple of weeks ago. We trained all of the fire department. Got finished at 5 o'clock, and that night at 9 o'clock, I got a text message from 2 EMTs, and they had been called to all places TJ Maxx. I don't know if everybody knows what TJ Maxx is.
That's where Buddy got that tank top.
Yeah,
I'm a Maxxinista.
So, you know, we had a young lady that was suicidal. And the neat thing was that the EMT said, we did it almost verbatim like you taught us in the simulation exercise, and she's safe today. So that brings me to my first core value that we teach in our workshop is I've never, you know, I've done over 1,700 suicide interventions, but this is going to sound rather contrary. I've never met anybody that really wanted to die. I mean, suicide is not the result of wanting to die. Suicide is the result of loss that leads to hopelessness, and the hopelessness is so overwhelming that it short circuits your coping mechanism.
Just trying to get rid of the problem, right? Just trying to get rid of the problem.
Is that a Smashing Pumpkins line?
What is it?
Emptiness is loneliness, and loneliness is emptiness, and yeah,
that's it. I mean, so it's kind of it's a catch-22. You feel hopeless, you don't do anything, you feel more hopeless, and then a lot of people say, well, I feel like suicide's the only option. Well, you know, in my former lifetime, I was a real estate broker. You know, I used to sell options, and the one thing I know about options is that gave you the right to buy a house. And that didn't mean you had to keep the house for the rest of your life. That meant you had the option to sell it if you wanted to. But with suicide, well, it may be an option, but it's an option ender. There's no more options after that.
Yeah.
And so let's figure out a way to stay alive, to get you, if you can just sleep tonight.
Permanent solution to attempt, you know.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, and that's I hear that one a lot, and I used to say it too. But, you know, some problems aren't temporary. I mean, I can't make your legs grow back if your legs go.
You can't.
You know, but you know what? That doesn't mean you have to go without legs. You can get some titanium legs. You know, you can start winning marathons. Legs. You know,
you can get some tanks, those little feet with the recurve thing on them.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, you'll be running. You'll be running faster than anybody.
Lou, I got a question for you.
Yeah, man.
In your experience, have you dealt with a lot of guys that you say that are on that edge, or dealt with anybody that the biggest hurdle that you're dealing with isn't necessarily what they're going through, it's a TBI, and it affects their critical thinking to the point where they can't see reality for what it is, so it actually makes their depression based on something that's not reality, so you're fighting that as well?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was at a fundraiser this
morning. You should have said nope.
Well, here's the thing. You know, you got 100 billion neurons in your head, and they're each connected to 10,000 synaptic bridges. And if you got a good shoe with a good shoestring, you can lace it up pretty good. But if it's frayed, then that synaptic bridge is not going to go into that neuron the way it's supposed to. And so whether it's TBI or PTSD, but they're not connecting the way they're supposed to. And so the mind is not functioning properly. So yeah, that can lead to greater depression because it's not functioning properly, and there's not a real good concept of reality at that point. So, and that's what hopelessness is all about. I mean, you've lost sight of reality. Hopelessness, you know, the Bible says without hope, people perish. And so, you know, I could be talking to the National Atheist Society saying, oh, we're not the faith guys. Yeah, but you have purpose. Everybody's got purpose, you know, and you can talk to an atheist who says, well, I've got purpose. Okay. Well, when you lose that purpose, you're suicidal. So you got to have purpose. You got to have hope, whatever you want to call it. But if we don't have that, we end up dying. And to the point where even if you don't kill yourself, it's called psychogenetic death. So, you know, all my sons, I got 4 boys, 3 of them are military. One went into fire service with Atlanta. So he sees stuff all the time.
The time. Yeah.
He was trying to.
Are you a fireman now, Dave?
No. I just wanted to say that because I didn't, not to stop the whole show, but we talked about police officers, firefighters, and then us being military deployed. Like we deploy, we go to a different country, we deal with whatever needs to happen, and we come back. Firefighters, police officers are dealing with that on a daily in their environment where they live.
Well,
you know, so,
not to mention, you know, a friend of mine who's a retired state police detective. I think I've told Nick and Dave about this story. We were in Iraq when it happened. He went into a house on a felony search warrant, was shot 5 times with an AK-47. Still alive. He posted something today about the school resource officer that killed that shooter in Alabama? Anybody?
Yeah, and he's being charged with.
I didn't hear anything about it, but what I did say over the chat was I couldn't imagine seeing the firefights that we saw and then coming home and having to wear a cop's uniform and being treated like that for what we've done. So I would say that the PTSD it's not only so much worse, but it's alienating, because you feel like the public, you're hated and you're kind of demonized. And I think that firefighters, what they deal with, not to get into being morbid about it, but when you see somebody die, there's peaceful ways and there's very ugly ways, unfortunately, to we've all been there. But seeing someone burned is not something that the human mind is designed to see without.
Unless you're Mikey.
You can't unsee. Well, right. That's what I'm saying. You just can't unsee it. And
it's your own community.
Like when firefighters, all it takes is one bad fire and you're changed.
Not to take anything away from our guests, because I want you to keep going. This is an amazing discussion. But like even going to New Orleans when Hurricane Katrina happened and it was like on American soil, and I saw some of the stuff there. Like honestly, personally, it felt like it touched me more. Like it like affected me more, because this is like America. This is where we live, and like seeing the dead bodies in the water, going into houses and all the stuff that was going on, compared to like over there, we do our thing, we come back and it's done. So again, respect to the police officers and firefighters, and our,
there's also
on a daily.
There's also something to be said for the amount of senses that are involved in the experience.
Yeah,
if you
that's right.
Smell, hear, and see it, it's going to be a bigger impression on your mind, and it's going to, well, for lack of a better term, it's going to fuck you up more if you hear and smell and see a guy burned to death than if you just walk up on a guy that got, took two to the face. And you're like,
And so to circle back to the guest, it's that thing that we see, and then that's the PTSD, the TBL kind of stuff. And you were going off of your principles. So you had your first principle that you described. How many do you have with AFM?
Well, we got 5 core values, and
all right, so we got 4 more to go.
Well, I don't know if we hit all of them, but that's the most
hit them.
Let's go.
That's the most important one. Is it's not. I've never met anybody that really wanted to die. Suicide's not the result of wanting to die. And back to, I will say this though, the fire stuff, that's my post-traumatic stuff is from fire. 30 years ago, I was involved in, I got into fire service accidentally because a tanker exploded. I had just gotten out of OBC and I was back home. I was back in the reserves. I was eating McDonald's, and a tanker got hit by a car that went out of control, and I was the first one on the scene, tried to save the guy, and I couldn't. But that didn't, I didn't ever have any sleepless nights because of that. I mean, I couldn't save the guy who's probably already dead. But then 16 years later, my third son, who was not even born when that happened, he basically blew himself up in the backyard when he threw some accelerant on a fire, and the can blew up and burned him over 90% of his arms and half his face, had to be life flighted. And that was in 2009. Well, I told you guys, I was a real estate broker in 2009. You know what was happening back then. So the economy had gone down the toilet. And I was at home on monster.com looking for a job. My wife was at Kroger. And after the flight took off, the helicopter took off for Grady, I called my wife and said, you got to get home, And so that was the first time I ever had thoughts of suicide. I felt like a crappy father. I felt like I let my family down, and I thought my family, I thought my family, and here's the other principle too, suicide makes sense. This is another core value that I want to share with you.
I try to tell people all the time. Yeah.
Suicide makes sense. I posted that one night after a veteran killed himself. I was 50 yards away from him, didn't know he was about to kill himself, walking into Longhorns, and he killed himself at the red light because he got pulled over for a DUI. And I didn't get to eat dinner that night with my friends because the chief called me and said, where are you at? And I had to go and do the death notification. So, it's suicide makes sense. That's one of our core values. But let me share this. That's not the only part of it. I did post just those 3 words one night on the internet, and it almost shut the internet down because people that know what I do, they're like, oh my God, there's the suicide guy, and he's saying suicide makes sense. Well, it's my core value. It's one of my core values. But the other part of that is suicide makes sense up until somebody calls you out on it. And then when they call you out on it, it's almost like that deer in the headlights. It doesn't make as much sense when they say it back to me. I had a colonel, I won't say where I was at. I was up in the Northeast, and I asked him if he was having thoughts of suicide. And he said, yeah, I have been. And it's like that proverbial light bulb came on over his head when I said it back to him. So you are having thoughts of suicide. It didn't make as much sense to him, you know, and I always kind of refer to it as the David Copperfield effect. We all know. Yeah, oh, by the way, David Copperfield is worth $1 billion. The dude's worth $1 billion, but all he does is tricks. That's all he does. He's never literally made the Eiffel Tower disappear. It's never disappeared. And
You just ruined it, Dave's childhood.
I'm sorry. But here's what's interesting. You know,
That was David Hasselhoff, Joe, not Copperfield.
Not Copperfield.
My fault.
That was Knight Rider.
But our mind can play tricks on it, you know, until somebody tells you, well, let me share with you, that was just a trick. He really didn't make that happen. And so that's what I say all the time. Suicide makes sense, but when we call people out on it, it doesn't make as much sense. Now, I could look at my situation, for example, financially at the time, it would have made sense, right? Because we were to a point where we were bankrupt. I didn't have insurance because I'd stopped paying insurance. I couldn't afford it because we weren't selling any houses. I'd already lost a builder friend, a banker friend, an appraiser friend to suicide. I had 38
for $43.
Yeah. So, you know, it's technically it would have made sense. I mean, I was planning to go to the desert with the National Guard, and I was going to die in the desert, and no one would ever know that my death in the desert was a suicide. So, you know, then my family would be better off still. So, but it was actually my oldest son who called me out on it.
Real quick, thanks for sharing that little piece of it.
Yep.
Because I know people that are watching right now, there's probably a lot that, like the way you said it just now, you already had it planned out.
Yep.
You knew you were going to go there and do your thing. And I guarantee you there's somebody watching right now who has those same thoughts.
Yep.
But now, like whatever you're going to talk about next is, hey, don't fucking do it. There's
don't do it.
Yeah.
Sir,
I
got to caveat this just because of how important and how much it means to me. And I've been near those situations where I was actually thinking, you know, like, all right, think about what happens if you do that. I wasn't thinking about doing it. I was just thinking, okay, well, what are the results? And it's like, you have to, or at least I did. I said, in my mind, I've got to look my little boy in the face and say, you don't deserve to get me for the rest of your life because I'm in pain.
Right.
I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. No matter what's going on, I can't look at him and say, even though you didn't ask to be brought here, this is too much. You got to go without. I can't do that. So, I mean, you got to find out
That's your why, right?
You got to find out one reason.
Why.
Yeah.
You got to have a why
on the bad days.
Gotta have a why. Thank you. You have to.
Yep. You got
Same here. It's my kids. It's my kids.
That takes us back to the purpose. You know, when you lose your purpose, you've lost your why. You know, there is no why. So you got to have a purpose. And
is it all right if I ask how your son would like how that played out, like how like the burning situation? The only reason I ask is because that's my namesake. He died that way in an explosion in the backyard. My mom was babysitting him, and when you were talking about it, I was getting chills because it's almost the same story.
Oh my gosh.
He was playing with the old kerosene tanks. Remember these, or the old oil tankers?
Yep.
Well, it was half full of kerosene, and he was throwing blackjacks in it. He was 12, and one went out, and he went up to see what happened, and it sparked, and it knocked the windows out of the house, and he was like 300 feet in the backyard. So,
oh my gosh,
he was 12. He was 12 and didn't make it. And when you were telling that story, I was like, my God, I hope he's all right. But is
I'll tell you
if you don't mind elaborating.
No, it actually made the front page of the local paper the next day, and the Shriners found out about it. And the Shriners called me and said, hey, we want to send him to Cincinnati to the Children's Hospital. And miracle. I mean, it is incredible.
What a godsend that is.
I said, you know, I can't afford
community.
You know, and the neat thing was
Shriners are the real deal, man.
They didn't charge us a dime. They paid for us to get there. They set us up in a hotel, and 9 days later, Chad came home, and you know, his arms. He has to be careful in the sun nowadays, but he's actually in the Air Force. He's got a beautiful wife, and he's got our second grandson, our fifth grandchild, and they're now in Germany. So we're
what a miracle that is. He came out of it able to be in the Air Force and everything. That's incredible.
Yeah, truly a miracle. And the neat thing was, I was actually with him in March. We were touring the old USS Yorktown in Charleston before he headed to Germany. And that was in March. Well, it was March 11 years ago, walking on that same ship. I was at Fort Jackson, had to go down to Charleston Air Force Base. We're doing some exercises down there. And when we got through that afternoon, we were touring the USS Yorktown, and I called my son, my oldest son, who was stationed at Charleston, hadn't seen him in a year because he's been out in California at a joint base out there. So he's walking around the Yorktown with me, and he knew that I felt responsible for Chad. He knew because I went back into the military. I'd been out, but I went back in at the age of 46, hoping to deploy so that I could be killed in the desert and nobody would ever know it. And he said, I know you had a hard time with the FBI background check because you filed the bankruptcy and they almost didn't let you back in. And he's 20 years old. He said, Dad, you're not working out anymore. I didn't think I was putting out any signs. I did not think I was putting out any signs. You know, I was putting on that Sunday go to church smile, and everybody thought I was good. And man, you've been through a lot. And yeah, I'm sucking it up. We'll just keep going. I didn't think I was putting out any signs, but that was the one sign that I put out because I've always worked out. I've always worked out. When my boys were born, my wife tried to give them a pacifier. I ripped it out of their hand and gave them a dumbbell. You know, I mean, you know, it's just that type of thing. Chad, my son who was hurt 2 years after he was hurt, trained him to a national powerlifting championship. So he was 15 years old and set some pretty cool records. But, you know, my son pulled me over to the side and he said, Dad, you're not working out. You've been through a lot. I just got to ask you a question. Are you thinking of suicide? And I didn't say anything. And he said, that's what I thought. You know, if you're not thinking of suicide, you'll say no, you know, but I didn't say anything. And I was trying to figure out how he knew. Well, I wasn't working out, you know, and so that's one of the clues. If we stop doing the things that we like doing, it may be playing golf or, you know, beer bong. I don't know whatever it is. But if we stop doing that, then maybe something's going on in our head, and
Those are two things I will never lose a day at.
Yep. So
golf and beer pong.
That is true, Nick. That is true. You and shout out to Hernandez, undefeated champions.
Oh gosh, the other I would share this too, that you know, life is full of questions. That's one of our core values. Life is full of questions. I mean, think about this. Over the past 2 years, we're inventing questions now. You know, questions that we've never had before. You know, it's sort of like calling grandma and, hey, we're planning to come to the reunion, and she says,
are you a guy?
Yeah. Are you a guy? Yeah, that's a question we didn't know. I mean, we'd never thought of that. But you know, did you get the shot? Are you going to wear a mask?
Yeah.
Those are questions that we'd never heard of 3 years ago. And so life is full of questions. And a lot of people, when they're suicidal, that's all they're focusing on is the unanswerable questions. Just be where you're at right now. Tomorrow will work out. Get a good night's sleep, eat good, work out, get the endorphins going, and you'll feel better. And if you because
find a fucking purpose.
Yeah, you got to have a purpose. So, you know, if we're working out and we're doing everything we can, it'll work out in the end. I mean, I truly believe that. I'm a chaplain, so all things work together for good, you know, for those who love the Lord. So keep going, keep moving on, just don't give up.
It's kind of like what Buddy was saying about any faith. About how it's not, you know, it's gonna be okay. You know, it's not okay right now. I get it. It stings right now. It sucks right now. It hurts right now. And going to lift weights in your mind isn't gonna fix shit. And you've already figured that out. We got that. But how about you just try?
Right.
And see what happens. Because in the moment, nothing's gonna work out.
Oh, Buddy put his Doritos down. Let's go. Is that a soda too, Buddy?
I mean, I figure.
Are you
hey,
eating
they got
Doritos
salsa
and
verde.
drinking a soda?
They're
Like,
salsa verde.
How much diabetes can you?
Oh, dude, we got these Costa Rican Doritos.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm on vacation,
Doritos.
dude. I can do whatever I want.
Well, you're an
You, bro,
American.
I'm on
You can do whatever you
vacation.
want.
So
You ever
look,
see what they
let's,
do in Boiler
hey,
Room when they're on vacation?
so-
sorry,
so
sir.
Go ahead, Nick. I
I'm
think
sorry,
you were,
sir.
Yeah, so Ken, did we even get to number 2 of your core principles?
We got-
I
we're
talked
on
about
4.
2 of them.
Hey,
Yeah,
let's get a couple more of those out there, and then again, how can people support you? I know obviously money donations, but is there any other way for people to support?
how can people get
AFM?
trained? And
Like, how-
'cause you
like-
said you're certifying people. Like that's
Oh yeah, that's
like-
important. Yeah, I mean, we've been all over the country. If you've got an organization that you work with or circles of influence, holler at us. We'll come out and train you guys. And here's the thing. Here's the difference about the program that I wrote for the Intervene Challenge is called Listen, Learn, Lead. I've actually written a book. I thought I had one around here. It's called Listen, Learn, Lead, and that's the curriculum that we use.
Where you can buy it?
Sorry, say again.
Where can you buy it?
Amazon. You can get on Amazon. Listen, Learn, Lead.
What's the link? Do you have it?
It's called, yeah, I can shoot it to you. It's but the book is Listen, Learn, Lead, Suicide Intervention book. And it does have my story in there as well. So, but we give the 5 core values and just teaching people to listen, you know, and listening is more than just what you hear with your ears. It's a gut feeling. And it's, you know, it's not walking away when you've got it in your head that, man, something's going on with my buddy here and I need to engage them. And so one of the things, 99% of the people will never ask a suicide question because they think they're going to put it in their mind or they think it's none of their business. But I don't want you to die, you know, so it is my business and I'm going to make it my business. And so, you know, that's one reason I've done over 1,700 suicide interventions. But one of the big reasons that I've done that is because I'm not focused on signs. My son saw a sign in me. If you go to the CDC website, it talks about 13 signs. If you see these signs, then you need to engage. But what if there are no signs? Oh, that's just the person that, you know, I've had people that have said, oh, that's the people that are going to die. No.
you bring that up real quick. We've had several. I know Nick, Joe, Buddy. We've had several buddies. There were 0 signs.
Right.
Everything was going well. You would think that the stuff that we're taught, social media, everything, it's showing they're happy. They got, and I'm not talking about one specific guy, Nick, because there were reasons he did that. But
Well, that goes back
you know.
to the second principle that where it makes sense.
Yep.
So that guy, it made sense why that guy committed suicide.
Yep. But others, like,
It
you
made
think
sense.
everything's going well. They're posting family pictures, kids have good grades, and then boom, the next day you find out that they, you know, went somewhere and shot themselves. And it's like, holy shit, like, where did this come from? You know, so I like that approach about talking about not having signs, you know, still attacking it. But go ahead.
Yeah. So how do you deal with that? So that kind of brings us, I think I skipped one of them, but here's the 5th one. This is probably the most important one. And
To buy your book to read the 4th one. It's okay. Good
Yeah,
plug.
there you go.
I like that.
That's
I like
the
that.
cliffhanger. That's the cliffhanger. You got to buy the book.
Cliffhanger, great movie.
You know, it's for several years, I had been saying, it's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see. It's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see. I thought I had coined that phrase, and so I looked it up to see if anybody else had ever said it. And actually, Ralph Waldo Emerson or somebody like that said.
No, it's George Washington. It's always George
And
Washington.
I actually, you know what? I bought Buddy has the trademark in my life because he's lived by that phrase at 1:45 in the morning when they turn on the ugly lights in Alabama at the bar since he was 21.
Yeah.
It's not what doesn't
14.
matter what you're looking at. It matters what you see.
Yep.
See Buddy's eyes light up when you said 21.
Full bottle Alpenglow down him, and it doesn't matter what he's looking at.
14, bro. Like.
It's Alabama, bro.
I think.
Sorry,
I think
Lou,
what
we're out of
you're
line
looking at is
again.
all about,
No, that's
perspective.
good. No, what
Everything's about
the whole idea though behind that is not what you look at that matters, is what you see. How many of us have heard, and you just said it, you know, one of you guys said it, man, we didn't see that coming. We didn't see that coming. We didn't see that. I hear it all the time. We didn't see that coming. I had a 17-year-old that killed himself, and all the parents wanted me to do a critical incident debrief with their teenagers who were best friends. And every one of the parents were saying, we didn't see this coming. We didn't see this coming. And one of the kids finally said, shut up. And the mom looks at him and says, what's going on? He told me he was going to kill himself. He showed me where he was going to kill himself. And that's what he did. And so that's been 4 or 5 years ago. The kid's probably still in treatment, because his friend died, but he didn't know what to do about it. He didn't know what to do about it. And so it's not what you look at that matters, is what you see. What I mean by that, it's not the signs that people put out, like they're backing away or they're not hanging out anymore. They're not bowling. They're not going to the firing range or whatever it is that you do. They're still doing all that, but it's the other things. What's going on in their life? That's what and that's what you talked about, Big Earl. It's about community. That's what community's all about.
Damn right.
And so that's where we should be engaged and say, hey, man, I know that he got the pink slip. I had a first sergeant in an Army Reserve unit. He was putting out no signs, none at all. And I approached him and he said, yeah, I have been. And we went through the de-escalation process. I said, you got any questions? Got him to a safe place. I said, you got any questions? He said, yeah, I got one question. How did you know? How did you know? He said, I don't think I was putting out any signs. I said, no, you weren't. I said, but I just know what you've been through. I know what you're going through right now. I know what you did in the desert. You were 11 Bravo. I know what happened. He got a Purple Heart. He's done some stuff. And now his wife is asking for a divorce and he's getting the pink slip on his civilian job. So you're going through stuff. So
it makes sense.
It's not what you look at that matters, is what you see. And so to bring it back to community needs to be, we need to know what's going on with our brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to hit you up with the book Earl again on that with the community, is that if you're looking too far up and out, if you're looking not inside your own community, then you're going to miss all that shit. You're going to miss what's going on right in your hometown.
Right.
Yeah.
Stop staring at scenery because you're missing the ride.
Aliens.
Permanent.
Aliens just took over Joe's podcast.
Yeah.
I blacked out what happened. So
yeah.
No, Joe, I know Joe gets triggered when his internet goes out. Joe, we're not mad at you. Your internet just went out.
No.
So,
I said something that froze.
Yeah.
Is it good now?
Yeah. It is now, but like I said, aliens took over your podcast.
Was it
the
gray alien?
So say it again, Joe. I think you're back.
Oh no, it's like what you were saying. Don't quit staring at the scenery. You're missing the ride, type of thing. Stop looking so far out for all these incredible things to help you. I tell you, when Nick's retirement party, it was pretty embarrassing moment for me flying out there, Lou. I got in a fight with my wife. Wasn't a good look for me. And I ended up going to the party without her. All right, we're good now, but it wasn't pretty. So the morning after I wake up in El Paso, Nick's party, I'm supposed to be waking up next to my wife. We're in this great Airbnb, and I walk out there, and here's Tim, a guy who works for our page. I've never met him. He drove 5 hours to be there, and all the guys from the West Coast are still sleeping, like Dave and Bill, and us East Coasters are awake. And I'm like, what's going on with my wife? I was so upset that I drank vodka last night, so I've got a wicked headache because I quit drinking 80 proof, unless it's quality a long time ago.
And
right, so I felt like shit.
Brought to you by Faceman DTT, that headache.
And I'm like, I don't even want to do this right now. Talk to this guy, but I feel rude. He drove to just meet us, and no one's awake. So I felt like compelled to go out there with this nasty headache, worrying about my wife. I came back in after talking to Tim for 40 minutes, and I literally walked up to him and said, hey, dude, I don't know why that happened the way it did, but I needed that conversation. And it's crazy because I could have looked at how shitty this is going to be when I get home, oh my God, what am I going to worry about? And all of a sudden I talked to Tim for a little bit. We kind of bounced a few things about life off each other. And I thought, you know what? My brother's parties today. I came out here to have fun. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. Something about talk. And it's just that one person in your community, you reach out and talk about an issue you're having. You never know. They might have the answer. And our page has done that on several occasions because of the diversity and because it is a community. And there's people from all different genres, all different ethnicities everywhere, different branches, everything. And somebody's got
even the Coast Guard.
Even the Coast Guard.
I was gonna say
Dave's
even the
European.
Like,
Dave's European, and we let him in. He's a natural European.
Yeah, we don't have any idea what he's talking about.
I get my sexiness from, but no big deal. But anyhow,
no big deal.
Buddy, I grew up in Germany.
The community, it is the answer. And when we first started this thing, a guy named Andy Marcassano, who I know his nickname was Captain America amongst those who knew him. I didn't have the pleasure of ever knowing him. I don't know if Buddy did. He was in the Spec Ops community. I know he was
very, very well revered by all of his peers and anybody that ever met him. And from what I know of the story, and I know very limited details, he was separating from the military and going to make big money working in DC doing security or some kind. But I talked to Bill the day after it happened, and Bill was pretty broken up over it because Bill definitely knew him. And it was like that separation from those guys going to a different job. And that was all we could make sense of. It was like, maybe that was too much. And that was when I said that for the first time, because no one's ever killed himself in a room full of veterans. And that was when I came up with that phrase, like, you know, that's what it is, Bill. That's gotta be, it doesn't make sense. Like, he said goodbye to his brothers, was going off to a great job, went back to his hotel room and took his life. And nothing about it made sense other than the fact that he had just said goodbye to his brothers and was moving on from them professionally. When someone breaks contact like that, and a lot of times there is no signs, just like what you said, Lou, look at what they've just been through. Look at the transition. Is it divorce? Is it a divorce? Is it a miscarriage? Which is really tough for a lot of men to deal with because of the communication thing. It was for me, basically trying to even communicate with her, like shit like that. Like when you don't know the answer to something, and then you feel like you're not making the right call. And I'm sure you've heard a lot of people say, it's not that I want to die. I just feel like everything I do turns to shit, and they'd be better off without me. And sometimes those people need to hear,
suicide
hey,
makes sense.
we fucking need you. We need you here. Sometimes people need to hear that.
Right.
Like, hey, a piece of me would die forever and never be alive again if I lost you. I need you here.
That's right.
You know, and sometimes people in that situation need to hear what's really on your heart. You need to just let it go.
Right.
You know, don't hold on to the feelings in those moments, because they need to hear it.
Yep. Spot on, Joe.
The one other one that I would share with you, I don't know how much time we got, but let me
as long as you want,
much as you want, sir.
Well, you know, one that I share often is
making a lot more sense than Chico was. So go ahead.
Well,
What's up, Chico?
Sorry. But you know, the thing is, we don't ever judge why that person is to that point. You know, I had a homeless Marine a few years ago, and I was sharing, and he was suicidal. But he was out in Colorado, and I didn't know him, but we had a mutual friend, so we were able to get him into a shelter that night, and it was cold, and we were worried about him freezing, and so he's got into a shelter. I called him back the next day. I said, "How's it going?" He said, "My Martin guitar got stolen." And I said, "Man, I hate that. I know Martin's that's a nice guitar. That's a nice guitar." He said, "That's all right. I got a 9mm. Well, we know where that conversation's going, right? And if I know what you want to do. You want to call law enforcement and have them do a health and welfare check. I'll just let them kill me, and then I don't have to do it myself." And so he kind of put me between a rock and a hard place, you know. And he said, "Nobody cares about me." And I said, "Marine, listen up. If you kill yourself, I swear I will never talk to you again." And he started laughing. He said, "Man, you're one strange Chaplin." I said, "That's all right." I said, "You're laughing." That right there tells me there's still some life in you. But you know, I shared that story. Here's the reason I was talking about judgment. I was sharing that story with a sheriff's department one day, and I didn't preface it by sharing that he was homeless. I just shared I got a Marine, and his Martin guitar got stolen, and he was suicidal. And I had one of the deputies who said, "Man, I wouldn't kill myself over a guitar." And I said, "Well, number one."
Who said that? That's when it's over.
Yeah. And that's the icing on the cake. I said, "Deputy, let me ask you, where were you in 1983? He said, "I was a kid." "Now, I want to know what grade you're in." He said, 1983, I think I was maybe 3rd grade. I don't know. I said, "Well, let me tell you where he was. He was at the gates in Beirut in October of 1983. That's where he was. And we know what happened. 300 Marines got killed. And he had just come off the post at the guard gate where that truck hit. And he lost a lot of buddies that day." And when when all the big brass started showing up to see what was going on, some lieutenant for some general made a comment and he cold cocked the lieutenant and they kicked him out of the military. And so he spiraled since 1983, in and out of homelessness, in and out of drug addiction. And so just losing your Martin guitar, that Martin guitar was the only thing keeping him alive. So do not, that's the most judgmental thing I've ever heard. I wouldn't kill myself over a guitar. You don't know what the dude's been through. That's all that was keeping him alive. I've had veterans that have lost their service dogs and they became suicidal.
I can tell you right now, my cousin said it best. I've got second cousins that I'd lose less sleep over than I would if I lost my dog.
Yeah.
And that sounds awful to say, but everybody here has had a dog knows exactly what what I'm talking about. But that's another thing here, Lou, that we don't validate trauma.
Right.
I got no clue what the frick you went through. I got no clue how your chemical makeup views those things and how debilitating it can be. So we don't validate someone's trauma here. And we certainly, I think with what we've seen over the couple of years that we've done this and the time before that, it ain't just a guitar, that we do. The public doesn't, he gets the crazy veteran tag because he lost guitar. It ain't about the damn guitar. It's about everything that came before it to where the guitar is the only thing left.
That's right.
That's exactly what Lou was saying. That's like his last straw.
Yeah.
This is the last thing that I love, admire. This is like my everything right now. And what led me to this point is everything that's fucking happened to me in the past. Now I'm here. Now you're taking the last thing away.
Yep.
That's can only been so much.
That guitar is not that. It's whatever happened in the past, all the trauma.
Dave, can you show us that hand and arm single for everything and then taken away again?
What's that?
Can you show us that hand and arm single for everything and then taken away again?
Italiano si parla con le mani, hai capito?
Yeah.
That's trilingual and I speak Italian, but
nobody knows if that's accurate.
That means I'm Italian and I speak with my hands. So, but anyway.
I'm just saying, so this is everything, and then this is you lost it.
Yeah. Ironic that you said that with your hands.
Well, hey, and I'm
awkward silence. Back to you, Luke.
One of the other things that I would share too is, there's been times when I was in formation and maybe a platoon sergeant comes up to me and says, "Hey, can you check on so and so? He's, Sergeant Snuffy's here today, but he ain't really here." You know what I mean? He's physically on the ground, but he's not really here. And I share that all the time with fire departments. We had a lumberyard fire in our hometown here a few years ago, and it's at nighttime. We don't have to worry about casualties. We're going to have fun putting it out. And but think about this, if one of the guys is actually physically there, but he's not really there because his mind is somewhere else, then someone's going to get hurt. That's why we have the OSHA coming after the fire department all the time, because they don't get enough sleep, number one. And they've lost 30% of their mental capacity if they're on a 24-hour shift. But the other thing is, it's not about the fire tonight in the lumberyard. It's about the fire 2 weeks ago in the trailer park where the two little girls got burned to death because mom and dad were smoking and joking down the road, just shooting crack. I mean, that's, and you never forget the smell of burnt flesh. I mean, I know, I feel that way. I got a call one night from the chief. She said, "Can you handle an auto accident with fatalities? The Corvette blew up after it flipped and hit an SUV, 2 kids involved." And I said, "Can you get somebody else to do it? Because that's not my specialty, number one. If you got a suicide, I'll come do it." But I didn't want to be around fire because I know what burnt flesh smells like. And I don't want to go back to that. I don't, so that's my self-care. And I think we were talking about it earlier during Trash Talk. You got to take care of yourself. And, and if you don't, it's not a selfish act to take care of yourself. It's not a selfish act to say, "Hey, to say no, I can't do that." It's really, I had to correct a few of my board members a few years ago. We got a great board now. They're doing a great job. They're focused. They know what our mission is. We got one mission, that's stopping suicide. But we don't do feed the homeless veteran. Somebody else can do that. That's good. I don't need to do everything. You can be a jack of all trades and a master of none. We choose to be the master at what we do. And
You're right.
so
Awesome. Yep.
that's what we do. And then after we've gotten them de-escalated, we put them in touch with people who can help them if there's other issues that they need to deal with. Then we've got a network of resources that we can put them in touch with. But our focus, what we do is suicide intervention. We're going to do it all day long. We're never going to mutate into a bowling league or anything else or join a softball team.
Bowling's fun though.
I know, yeah, and I'll do that with other people. But here's the thing, you know, when we originally put our board together and I was laying out the mission, and we're all veterans. Every one of the board members are veterans. But somebody asked, what are we going to do? And I thought this was so crazy coming from veterans. But somebody said, what are we going to do when we complete the mission? I'm like, what? I mean, this is mission impossible.
Must have been an officer.
Yeah, it was. So it's
retarded.
There's always going to be somebody somewhere tomorrow that's going to be suicidal. So, and in fact, I'll share this. Since the beginning of COVID, but I don't know about y'all. I don't know where everybody's at. We're in Georgia here, and we got shut down in March of 2020. And I put out on Facebook in April of that year that the suicide rate's going to go through the roof.
That's when we started this, Lou.
That's why we
when
started. That's why we started.
Nick contacted me and said, "Now's the time. Let's do it now." And it was in
Oh,
April of 2020, and it was
Well, there you
because
go.
because. And honestly, I thank God that Nick was active duty, because it was what he was seeing with the active duty. The secondary appointments, or I'm missing the word here, but anything outside of primary care was almost being looked at as not essential.
Right.
And you know how much that word got a bunch of watered down meaning to it.
Right.
I had to work construction in Charlotte, North Carolina to become essential after we all went overseas. But anyways, but Nick was like, you know, this is, he said the almost verbatim the same thing. And I mean, obviously not verbatim, but different words, like, hey, this is going to get bad before it gets better.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
They're canceling
There's so many
appointments,
things
guys
that
are losing their
increase.
mind. And it was like kind of like a young couple having a kid. Like, you know, there's never going to be a perfect time. And Nick was like, you know, let's do it. We're either going to fail hard or this thing is going to make something. But we got to do it right now.
Domestic violence increase, child abuse increase.
Everything.
Like, there's so many, everything. Yeah.
You know,
but families like husband and wife finally figured out, man, this shit ain't working. Why am I, you know, because now
you better get your ass to work, because I can't stand you.
Now you're at home the entire time, spending time with your significant other, you know.
40-year-old
flourished, obviously, but yeah. Oh yeah.
Hey buddy, just text Chris that you have to jump off. So buddy has to go. He's got bad internet. He says he wishes he could join in this conversation more. And obviously, yeah, we love when buddy joins in more, and so does the audience. But it is what it is.
He probably just saw a scorpion just crawl across the kitchen floor.
And those of you who are watching for the first time don't understand what Veteran Trash Talk is. Don't understand what Ken does, or what AFM does. You know, we started this because they stopped all of my pain management, all of my physical therapy, everything, my behavioral health, everything. And I called Joe, right? And I was like, if I can't get it, which the unit I was in with the rank that I had, I could pretty much talk to somebody whenever I wanted, right? Like, no problem. I had a great chain of command. I had a great support channel, right? And all that stopped. And you know, Kenya inspired me to share 3 stories, real quick stories, and things that we've already shared on here before. And, you know, what you shared was tremendously, you know, I know it's painful. We know it's painful. It's coming from the heart. You know, when you talk about these things, you know, I lost a soldier when I was a platoon sergeant. His name was Taimano. He was an islander, and from the side of Guam that was more Japanese, and he, you know, he's 3 levels down from me at this point, PFC, right? And I looked at him, and there was something wrong with him, right? And I went up to him, and I said, and I punched him right in the chest, right? And I said, because this dude was hard. This dude was I mean, he got arrested like 3 times, beating up cops, you know, partying, you know, but he's a great soldier, humped a machine gun, you know. I mean, this is the guy that you wanted on your fire team, Right? He might not be the smartest guy in the world or doing like the most intelligent things in the world, but when war breaks out, boom, Ty Amato's coming in there and he's gonna whoop some ass. Right. And I saw him and I knew that he was dealing with some stuff because obviously he was about to get chaptered because it was his third drinking related incident and he had to get chaptered. It wasn't even there wasn't even a question. It was a policy, and it was like, shit. And I told him, I looked at him, I go, hey man, I know you're struggling right now. I was like, but there are ways around this. I was like, if you just stay clean for the next couple months, I was like, I got ways to keep you in the Army. And guys like Buchanan, all right, he can testify to this. I know ways to keep you in the Army. Like I'll get congressmen involved. Because I want this dude in the Army. I want this guy on my team. Right. And so I went to his squad leader. I said, hey man, hey, keep an eye on Ty this weekend. I was like, just like something's off with him. Right. And he was like, gosh, Sarge, and sure as shit, the whole weekend, my squad leader's texted me. He's like, no, he's good. He's on Cocoa Head. He's hiking this. He's with his family. Here's pictures, Facebook, boom, damn it. I mean, happy as could be. Right. And then I get a text that morning on Monday morning. We're going to a machine gun range. And he goes, hey, Ty wants to know if he could walk to his appointment in the morning. It helps clear his head. Right. And at first I was like, yeah, of course. Why not? Right. So when I did morning formation as a platoon sergeant, I'm standing out there. First sergeant's asking for a report. I say, one man walking to an appointment. Everybody else accounted for. Boom. Gotcha. All right. Go to the machine gun range. And I get a call from the squad leader that says, hey, I haven't heard from Ty all day. I said, go check his room. He probably hung himself. Oh. Right. That's exactly what I said, and walk into his room and there he was, hung himself, and it was like, fuck, like it's because he was getting chaptered, he's getting chaptered out of the Army. So suicide made sense to him.
Yep.
And you see that. So that's one story. And the second one, veteran trash talk. And I said, I share this for you guys because, we all deal with these demons. If you don't get them out, then they're gonna haunt you. They're gonna haunt me no matter what. Ty's face is gonna haunt me the rest of my life. He was a beautiful young kid. I still wish he was here. But then you got my boy Bailey. All right, he was my mortar section sergeant. Remember we talked about him, Joe? We talked about Bailey. I think Dave I think you were in town when he killed himself.
Yeah.
And it was. He texted me. He goes, hey, man, thanks for what you're doing with Veteran Trash Talk. He's like, I have a blast with that. And then Facebook shut us down.
Oh, God.
Right. And then, and I said, hey, once all this COVID regulation BS is over, I was like, let's get together and have a beer because he came to El Paso. And then, then he killed himself. And it was like, obviously you can have the survivor's guilt and all that kind of stuff, but it's like I don't believe in survivor's guilt anymore. I've gotten past that point to where it's like, it's almost to the point where if you have survivor's guilt, I almost peg you as selfish because it's like, get over it, bro. You're alive.
Good.
Like, it's like, you're alive. You're alive. Like, he's dead. She's dead. You're not. Like, stop.
Just like the whole, not to interrupt, Nick, but this whole Memorial Day thing, how like I've switched my head about like, don't make it about myself. Like our brothers,
you
passed away. Let's continue their legacy. Let's celebrate them, instead of being down, and depressed and sad. And yeah, of course I'm going to be sad and stuff, but like, let's celebrate them. What would they do if they were here? So like, kind of ties into that survivor's guilt thing. Like, you're alive, homie. They're dead. Like,
right.
But it's hard to encompass that, and yeah.
You also don't want.
Go ahead, Joe.
No, I apologize, Nick. I was just saying that Nick's retirement party, I got the chance to get to know his dad a little bit more, and I wasn't surprised, to be honest with you. I knew that he had a very similar relationship with his dad that I do with my own, and I think about these guys, guys like Dutch, guys like Justin Rollins, whose mom I just talked to yesterday, and Dutch's mom, I play Words with Friends with her on the phone, and we all still kind of stay in contact. And I think about like how many days on Memorial Day I spent crying, or Veterans Day I spent, and I was drinking and I was on pain pills. And I remember one morning I was with Miles and he was sleeping next to me with his head on my shoulder. And I'm looking up at the ceiling and I can feel the tears start to go because I know what day it is. And all of a sudden I look down at him and I'm like, dude, yeah, this ain't about you, man.
We don't need a day for it either.
Did you drop
celebrate
did
them
you drop
all year round.
exactly every day is Memorial Day about those guys. But it's also like, did you drop the ball the day they passed away? Did you do something that led to their death? Did you do something to let them down in the moment? Is there anything you wouldn't have done? Like, you know the answers to these questions, and so do they. And furthermore, if you and Nick are that close with your dads, then at least half of those guys were. So that means there's 5 fathers out there that would give a year's salary to have a cup of coffee with these guys, and you're sitting here wasting your day crying.
Yeah. Boom.
They'd slap you in the face and say, quit being a bitch. I'm not here. Go have a beer and steak for me, please, with the rest of your brothers. And then when you come here, we'll catch right back up, but you're wasting your time.
Yep.
Go live for us. Go live a life that you can make our legacies, carry our legacies with you, but do it with integrity. So when you carry that veteran tag, you do it proud. You do it service. That's kind of what we talk about here is, obviously nobody owes you shit. We take it several steps farther than that. Live a good life. Make that veteran tag can mean something. Like
right. Don't disenfranchise us. Don't disenfranchise us with your veteran.
Exactly. Like Dave's
pity.
like Dave's partner who's sitting right next to him. Go out there, sell houses, become a millionaire, and then after it's all said and done, be like, yeah, I'm a combat veteran too. Man, let them know that you're something other than what they read on the news.
No, that's a good point. Hey, that's a good segue into my third thing I was going to share about, when people are dealing with PTSD. And again, we got to go back to Dr. Gad and his Wounding Warriors book of PTSD is a BS term if you say you have PTSD. All right. It's something that the government has used to encompass treatment, right? But there's a lot of things that are into PTSD that just because you have anxiety, right, or you have anger management issues, those are the things that you need to work on. You don't have to work on PTSD. You're never going to get rid of that, ever. Okay, but you can work on the other things. And the hypervigilance and the calmness, I had a good psychiatrist tell me one time, yes, I go to a shrink, everyone. Yeah, big girl goes to a shrink. All right, so they told me, it's like, what's so bad about being hypervigilant? And I sat there thinking about it years ago, and I go, actually nothing. And they're like, yeah. It's like you're more aware than 99% of Americans.
That's
more than you're gonna see things before they happen, like a Jedi. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then you're gonna stay calm. So then I'm in California. Third story. I'm in California. I'm driving to meet my buddy Jeff with MAT, muscle activation. We're gonna play some golf, and I see this car run a red light and the car became the pole. Right, just the car, like it was horrific, right? And I jump out of the car. 2 people were about 4 cars ahead of me, got there before, and they're trying to yank this girl out of the car. I yell at them, I'm like, stop, right? Because the car wasn't on fire. I get it, and I'm like, get out of the way, right? And they get out of the way, and I go in there, the girl's got 0 pulse, right? And I reach into the other guy, and he's got a pulse. I go, leave the guy there, get the girl out right freaking now. Let's do everything we can. We're trying to get this door open. I'm like, leave the guy there, right? Because the other guys people are trying to pull the guy out too, And I was like, just that calm, that PTSD, right? That hypervigilance, that training that I've had. I was there, and I was like, the girl has to get out now because she's not breathing. I don't care if she's got a spine injury or anything. We got to get her out because she's not breathing.
You're in the golden hour.
Right. It's like the guy in there he's banged up. You could tell his arm was broken and everything. You could see it, and it was like, but he's breathing. I was like, leave him there. The paramedics take it. We got to get this girl out right now. Girl didn't make it. Right, and we couldn't get her out. The car was, like I said, the car was so full that we couldn't get her out. I mean, we were punching windows, just trying to get everything. But again, use that as a veteran, like Joe just said. Like, go make $1 million and then tell them you're a veteran. right? Like people are like, hey, how come you knew not to take her out of the car? Well, because I, combat lifesaver. I know that it was a neck and back injury. Shouldn't touch them. Chances are they have one, right? Like that's what I learned as a veteran. That's what I learned in the military. And like that hypervigilance, that training made me, important at that point in time. And it's, too bad we couldn't save that young girl's life, but it's, don't be ashamed of like what you have going. Don't be afraid of what you have. Like those are tools, right? Use them for good. Just like Veteran Trash Talk, when we got to where we had a reach and we had, people listening, it's like, why don't we do something great with it? And here you are, Ken. So that's kind of the recap of, AFM is training you to, correct me if I'm wrong. I know you will, Ken, but it's training you to intervene.
That's it. Yeah, and it kind of back on what you were just sharing with that car accident. And the fire department understands this, police department understands, veterans understand this, that we may think that we will rise to the occasion, but when a crisis comes, we will always default to our level of training. And so you were trained to a certain level, and you knew in that crisis, you were the person to help in that crisis. And so, and I agree with you wholeheartedly on the PTSD part. I mean, I'm to the point where even George Bush tried years ago to drop the D from PTSD, and we still use it because it's a moneymaker. But as long as I said I had PTSD, I struggled. When I stopped saying that was when I began to find healing. And so it puts us in that spiral that you were talking about earlier, going in circles. We're just, I've got PTSD, therefore I'm going to act this way. Therefore I'm going to keep going down further and further and further. Stop. Right?
Stop and go the other way.
Yeah.
Stop.
There you go.
The Bible says repent. That means you turn around and you go the other way. And so that's what we have to do. I mean, it's a transformation of the thought process, and it takes courage to do that. It takes courage to do that, to say, hey, I had this, but I'm moving a new direction. I'm going to be better, so things are bad today. I mean, Lily Tomlin, the great comedian Lily Tomlin, she said something I think was pretty pertinent for today. She said, things are going to get worse before they get worse. Well, I think she's right. But that doesn't mean I have to continue to spiral into oblivion because things are bad all around me. I can rise to the occasion. I can be the person I'm supposed to be. And everything that comes my way, it's not going to crush me. It may bruise me. It may hurt, but I don't have to be crushed by my circumstances. And that's what we teach. And it's sad that a lot of people don't understand that. I will share this, and then I'm going to shut up and let you guys have whatever y'all need to do. But one of the things that I think is important for us to understand is that let's just be honest. How many of y'all have ever heard suicide is a coward's way out? Let's just be honest. Y'all have heard it, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, plenty.
Yes,
sir. Yeah.
So I want to address that one real quick, because I really got to thinking about this one back in 2019, because I went to the funeral of a classmate. He was Colonel Billy Shaw. Some of y'all might have worked with him. I don't know, but he was Billy Bad, and he'd been there, done that on everything, and special forces, and he took his life in February of 2019. Well, he was no coward. He was no coward. And so I know you guys have got a lot of followers, and there's a lot of people listening. I'm gonna say this, but then I'm gonna clarify it. Cowards can't kill themselves. They can't. But having said that, please don't prove to anybody on this watching this that you're no coward. Don't go tonight and say, hey, he just gave me a license to kill myself. Because here's the other part I want to say. Cowards can't kill themselves. Only courageous people can do that. But it takes even more courage to stay alive when you want to kill yourself. And so that's what I want you to take away tonight. No, I don't judge anybody because they've taken their life. Since COVID hit, I've dealt with 82 suicides, 82 completed suicides. I was on
First time I've ever hated that number.
Yeah. So I was on the scene just a few nights ago with a 16-year-old girl that took her life, you know, and that's the reason I was riding with the police officer the other night, because it was shaking him up. And I'm going to share one more thing and then I'll shut up. I'm typical preacher.
Brother.
This has been one of my favorite guests in a long time. You just keep on rolling.
But, you know,
Preach. No pun intended.
you guys are familiar with that movie, The Guardian, with Kevin Costner.
I just watched it last night.
Oh, there you go. It's a great movie. I love all
No
Kevin
bullshit.
Costner. Yeah. So, but I had gone out to get the paper one morning on a Saturday. This was a few years ago. And I saw that an airman had killed himself in our hometown. He was a drone pilot, young guy, 23, left a child behind. And I came in, my wife had breakfast on the table, and I threw the paper down. She could tell I was upset. And she said, "What's wrong?" I said, "A veteran killed himself." And she says, "Well, did you know him?" I said, "No." "Then why are you so upset?" "Because he killed himself. It happened in our town." "Well, yeah, but you didn't know him." And so I was thinking irrationally, you know, and I said, "Yeah, but everybody in this town knows who I am. Somebody should have called me. We should have been able to help him." And she said something that really woke me up and just, it rang my bell, because she said, "Do you think you're God? Do you think you're God? I mean, you can't be everywhere. You can't do everything. You can't save everybody." And I know as military guys, the police department, I was doing a critical incident debrief with them just last night. They wear body armor every day, but underneath that body armor, there's a human heart. And we think that we can save the world, but we can't. We can't. And so that night, it's interesting, because that night my wife said, "Hey, let's watch The Guardian tonight." But she's a very wise woman. She had an ulterior motive. And so when we got to that part where they're having the discussion, you know, and here's Ashton Kutcher, who's trying to save the world because he'd lost buddies. He had survivor's remorse. He's going to be an Olympic swimmer. And so he's got to go out there and save the world. And so if you watched it just last night, you know this part, because he says, "What do you do when you got many bodies lying in the water?" And the old crusty Master Chief said, "You save the ones you can."
Yep.
And that's all you can do. That's all you can do. And so people ask me all the time, "How do you do what you do?" I mean, I've had 82 suicides in the past 2 years that I've been on the scene, or I've been doing death notifications, or I've done funerals for them because I'm a chaplain. How do you do what you do? Well, it goes back to what we were talking about. We got to live our life. We're still here. I'm going to make the best of it. I'm going to do all I can. And then I'll close with this. There's an ancient text. It's in the Talmud, which is the Jewish scripture. And it says this: "Save a life, and it is as if you have saved the world." And I think that's pretty cool, because I can't save the world, but I can save somebody's world. And that somebody is the 1 out of 10 people right now all around us that are having thoughts of suicide. So that's what we do. That's what we do. We need help doing it. I would encourage anybody that's interested in us coming to your hometown, get us out there. We teach a 4-hour block of instruction. And when people walk away, it's just like the EMTs, you know, 2 hours after they took the instruction, they were doing an intervention. Same thing happened at Fort Lee back a few years ago. I was headed to the airport, and 30 minutes after the class, I had a lieutenant call me. He said he was able to help a lady who was the housekeeper in the hotel, because he overheard her in a conversation, and it sounded like she was saying goodbye. And so he got into a conversation with the lady. She was not planning on leaving Fort Lee alive that day.
Wow.
And so he was able to help her. So that's the stuff we do. Lives are being saved. And, you know, here's the thing. A lot of people are afraid to do it, but intervention saves lives. It saves lives. Y'all say that with me together. Let's say it like we're.
No, intervention saves lives. for
Intervention
sure.
saves lives, 100%.
That's hey, we're gonna talk about this when we get off the air for sure. Because which I've been arguing for about a couple of years, and now again, divine intervention I think is coming into place with this and with the job that I just landed. So we'll talk about that afterwards. But Buddy also said that he goes, we do combat lifesaver. We teach everybody to learn how to plug a bullet hole, how to put an IV in, how to put a tourniquet on. Why are we not doing the intervention training? Because that's way more important to our force than plugging a bullet hole, like unless we're at war, right? Like obviously everybody needs to train that too. But I'll let Dave close us out, and then once we get offline, I'll talk about what else we got going on, which is phenomenal. So
Okay.
Dave, close us out.
I will. Ken, throw out your websites real quick, or your website, so everybody.
Yeah, we're in the process of changing to some new service providers for that. So it's kind of in a funk right now. But afmfamily.org is one of them, and then we're in the process of building a new one, which is still up and running. It's intervenechallenge.org. Intervenechallenge.org. So that'll be our new website. And everything will be going to that, but it's up and running. We're still building it, but intervenechallenge.org. And if people want to give today, we love donations. We are a platinum nonprofit with GuideStar. So they've rated us as a platinum organization. So every dollar we get goes to making people better and saving lives. So thanks for your support.
I love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Go ahead, Joe. Yeah,
I was just saying thanks to Lou for coming on. Absolutely one of my favorite guests we've had in a long time, and this stuff is so very necessary and so needed. So please keep doing what you're doing, and God bless. That was incredible. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. I think on record, this is 100% our longest podcast that we've done so far. Just because the conversation was just amazing. That's what it's all about. Like, I'm going to sit down later because we talk about this all the time. Nick mentions it. This is my therapy every Saturday, getting on with Joe and Nick, because Joe and Nick, the three of us, we went through the depths of hell. We've seen the bad sides of war and the stuff that it can do to us, but we get on here every Saturday and we communicate with each other, and it just makes me feel better. It's like refreshed afterwards. But the stuff that you talked about today specifically, like, I am going to rewatch this entire episode. And I think you need to get a hold of Clifford Bauman and get on the mental, what is it? What's
mental health
warrior?
Mental health
He's our
warrior?
mental health warrior. He was actually in the Pentagon when it was struck, Lou.
Yeah,
So
I think
he was there for the cleanup also.
I think it would be a great show with you guys. But anyway, I just want to say thank you to you personally. This was amazing. I'm going to rewatch it later. To all of our viewers that are just tuning in, make sure you go to VeteranTrashTalk.com. That's our website. It has all the links to everything. You can rewatch this later on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, all that good stuff. If you want to support our brand, go to gruntworksclothing.com or shop.veterantrashtalk.com. Buy some awesome tees. I am wearing the Only Infantry. I'm not part of OnlyFans yet, not until I retire. Okay, so you can sign up for that later. But I'm just kidding.
I see
Only
you
Infantry, and then
I had a guy walk up to me.
you ain't making no money. You ain't making no money.
support our movement. Thanks to everybody again for tuning in. Faceman VTT out.